We arrived on Thursday night, and by Friday, Sweden was attacked. A brutal terror attack with a truck once again. Some officials said, we have to be sort of glad because it's trucks and that shows that they are desperate and don't use hand grenades and rifles. I don't know what to say about that. I think it's quite traumatizing, and it's horrific, to know that a truck that delivers the stuff to your grocery store can just ram people. I think that is a traumatic experience, and there's nothing to be taken lightly here. And terror attacks are always felt more when it's closer to you, when it's closer to your country or your people. Not that you don't care when USA killed 250 people 2 weeks ago, but it's felt more because it's closer to you. That's just nature. I am also disgusted by the sort of way in which the internal minister, I forgot the name in English, inrikesminister, the guy who deals with the internal business basically and security, he said that we cannot be protected from this sort of attacks. I think that's the wrong thing to say. I think we can. I think terrorism should be ended. We should not stay strong and suffer through that and just stay strong and get killed. And Sweden could have just have done its business, and much of this would have been avoided. All the rape crimes where the rapist gets like 40 days, and people don't get any punishment. Illegals don't get any punishment. They are not sent back, and so on. Young migrant men do whatever they please to, and there's no punishment. Swedish police can't even take the control of the situation, and they are in a hard position too, because they are, they have a low paid job. If they do something intensely, they might get sort of sued or whatever. But anyway, I'm not going to go into this video. Is not about a solution or a big smart theory. I'm just outside walking, trying to have a good day after yesterday, which really made me low. But I think like the termination is really sad. I think the root cause needs to be dragged out. And if Swedish police has since 2008 already been able to sort of listen into phone calls and all that, how come they catch pirate copiers? Why don't they just take all these sort of extremists and just deal with it? How do you think you can make a solution? I mean, just about recently, Sweden was still sort of giving benefits to ISIS fighters who came back to Sweden, so-called Swedish ISIS fighters, basically traitors. And I think it's gone, and in a sad way, this was sort of expected, what happened in Stockholm. It's really sad. And I think also Islam will get stigmatized because it's associated with terrorism. And there's nothing to, complain or whine about that. For example, I like ancient folklore and stuff like that. So I like the swastika, I like the, pagan symbolism. I think that term pagan is cheesy, but I don't complain, if I had a big flag with that or something, even if it was in all sort of rainbow colors, people would still sort of take me for a Simpletonian Nazi or something. And I'm fine, you have to realize sometimes your club, your team, your faith, your family, your friends are in a bad time, and they are, making a fool of themselves. And as a religion, it's not really promoting itself well. And it needs to take more responsibility. And because otherwise everybody would just get extreme, you know. And as we've seen, you know, Trump is just making the situation worse by bombing Syria and sending more refugees, radicalizing more people, and just messing around with the Russians, you know. We could be in for a really bad mess. I don't think that will happen, but I think sadly, you know, some regions of the world will just stay in this sort of conflict situation they are in right now, because the powers to be do not benefit from having a stable Middle East or Northern Africa for some reasons. Every time there is a stability, and every time, you know, they need to go from sort of dictatorship to light dictatorship and eventually for democracy, many countries get involved and destroy that process. For Sweden, I think, yeah, it saddens me, because you know, me and my wife talked about this. We said that we are sort of safer in Bosnia and Herzegovina, in Croatia, you know, and sadly that's the truth. And yeah, and this is constant too here in Sweden. It's you know, how do you say, not abuse, but yeah, physical abuse, assaults, rapes, no punishments, and now this. So yeah, things need to be dealt with really seriously by the sort of mainstream parties and mainstream ideas, because if they don't deal with this with their fists, there will be radical people who would gladly take that position. And let me tell you this, when people are afraid, they rather be safe more than anything else, and the one that can promise the biggest safety is the one that wins over their minds. Now, whether that new sort of jurisdiction becomes more safer under that rule doesn't always have to be that way. But yeah, as for me, as for my wife, I mean, this is really sad, and it was hard, you know, yesterday to come back and, you know, pack and just, you know, be happy and all that. And yeah, it's crazy because I love Stockholm. I've been there sometimes. It's one of those places I could have imagined myself to live in. And unfortunately, I saw the photos, and yeah, I mean, it's terrible. You know, every one of them who died or got injured or their foot driven apart has family and all that. It's really sad. But you know, one thing I thought about, up until last year, people asked me, you know, is it safe in Bosnia and Herzegovina? I said, you know, it's safer than Sweden right now. But the thing is, when you have a war, and it's horrible. But when you have terror attacks, it's just, it comes out from nowhere. It has no beginning, no end. And we need to have a look at what these men want. And you know, they want to provoke, they want to destroy the Western world. And it's either destroy or get destroyed. Now, if that sort of brings a slight or heavy stigmatization of a religion, that's the price, you know. Pedophilia and Catholicism are like siblings, you know. And everybody, you know, no one is sort of in an eternal position of being specially treated. As I said, like even silly stuff like me, I would like to have some symbols and, you know, something, but I can't because they are associated with things that I don't agree with, which have destroyed some symbols. And it took like 15 years for that to happen. So of course you're gonna have terror attacks and 20 years, and that will destroy a religion or make it become very unattractive, just like some symbolism. For example, you can check out that video about the swastika, I'll link to it below. It was all over the place. But no one will be spared in this in this mess that is about to come. No one, no ideology, no cult of personality, nobody will come out like clean or good or perfect. So everybody should just embrace the dirt and get the thing over and done with and destroy terrorism. Not stay strong while being killed, just destroy terrorism.